Ladies and gentlemen, grab your drinks and popcorn. Today's feature is about to begin. Welcome to Celluloid Codswallop. Hello and welcome to this week's Celluloid Codswallop. Slightly different this time, it's a bit spooktastic, and we have two guests on this week's Celluloid Codswallop who are very new to the podcasting game. I'll let them introduce themselves. They're obviously, Celluloid Codswallop and, podcasting virgins. So who'd like to speak first?
Do you not remember me, James? No? How we podcasted on Picard and all the other shit that we've done in Celluloid Codswallop.
I must be having a moment of brain freeze.
You haven't brain fog, Matt. That's what the problem is. It's me. It's the mad ginger.
It is, of course. I jest. This is the mad ginger one, my mistress. But I don't know sure who's the other person. Because
it's your bloody wife.
Wow. I mean, yeah, it's all in jest, people. But, as I'm sure you understand, this is a very, very scary position for me to be in because I have both the missus and the mistress. So,
and if by now you don't know what my voice is, I'm Gemma. Hi. We tricked you.
I don't think I even said hi. It's Joanne. I just said it's me, the ginger one. So we probably go, it's your woman's the Irish one. Let's face it. Who else has this accent on the podcast?
Nope. Well, no one now, because Gabrielle doesn't look like she's coming back, does she? So, I mean, she's always welcome to.
Here, help her, actually. She's lying at home at the moment. She had an operation today.
I'm going to say, I thought I'd read something about that. How's the recovery going?
Not too bad. She's high as a kite at the moment and sent me garbled text messages.
Is this where we send her blank checks?
I know. It's quite funny, actually, when you read it. It's just back to front and it's like... And she sent me a picture this morning and said, I'm really high. Great.
Get well soon, Gabrielle.
Yeah, get well soon, Gabrielle. I used to have the same problem, if you makes you feel better, Gabrielle, when I used to drink a lot and I'd send the most horrendous texts to people when I was absolutely out my mind. My girlfriend at the time was like, if you read, she'd look when I was sober and she'd be showing me them and they were just like, they were terrible. Because I'd be drunk texting and I'd be trying to make myself things to eat. So... fun times.
Your dick pics must have been horrendous at that time.
Horrendous or good, who knows? I can't possibly comment on whether I would ever have done anything like that for purely legal reasons.
Well, anyway, should we get on to our Halloween spectacular because we tricked the listeners twice? Oh, salty tadpole, sorry. I forgot where I was.
Third time now, if we're telling the listeners, they're like, what are we tuned into? How are these people? The guy who normally does this doesn't know who the people he works with are, and one of them doesn't know who the listeners are. I mean, the salty tadpoles. So I'm going to hand this over to you, Gemma, because this was actually... Normally, it's me who has some sort of mad focus on discussing a film. And I'm going to scare the salty tadpoles with this one because guess what, kids? I'm here, Joanne's here, but we're not discussing a DC film.
No, I know. It's amazing. I'm sure you'll find some sort of connection, though. You always seem to.
Yeah, we will. But I'm going to hand over to you, Gemma, because this was your inspired choice.
It was. Well, obviously, first of all, this episode is out on Halloween. So happy Halloween, everybody. Ooh. Ooh.
I'm just waiting to hear the dog barking, but go on.
No, he's all right because he's in the hallway. He's just been out, so he's all good. Well, we'll find out if he is, but it creates the ambience, doesn't it?
It does.
So on this dark, stormy evening, we have chosen to review the film Shaun of the Dead. Because it's obviously a Halloween episode, so we wanted to do like a movie review, and Joanne said previously that she doesn't like sort of horror films, but she also said she didn't like zombies as well. So I didn't think that this one would actually go down very well. But she said, because it's a comedy zombie film, and obviously being a comedy podcast, we're doing the whole, twist on things today. So that's why this film has been chosen, because we all agreed on it, didn't we? So
we did. It's one that I'd not seen for ages. It was really nice to actually, slip into a comfortable pair of shoes, so to speak, and watch it. And the weirdest thing, not to go too far ahead, is just looking at how much of the cast I recognise from other things, but also how young everybody looked in it.
Yes.
Oh, I know. And it's also the start of the Cornetto trilogy as well. I'm assuming you guys know that, but with regards to like Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright and oh my God, Nick Frost, I couldn't think what his name was then. They created Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and I'm blanking on the last one.
Oh, End of the World? No.
Is it World's End?
No.
Yes.
Yes, no.
Hold on. World's End is a pub in Edinburgh.
It is? Well, there's quite a few World's End, but yeah.
Are you enjoying the Salty Tadpoles? We're confused. We don't know what's going on, so basically it's a normal episode of either Codswallop or Celluloid Codswallop.
I have to say, the bit about the zombies, I should explain. Mm-hmm. I kind of have a phobia for zombies. Some people have it for spiders. I have it for zombies. And I was watching it actually last night, and the other half himself walked in and went, "You're watching a zombie movie?" I went, "Yeah, that's the one, we've seen it before, but it's okay. It's a comedy." And the only other one that I don't mind, in fact, I absolutely adore with zombies, is the Evil Dead trilogy and Army of Darkness, the TV series. That's it. But that's probably mostly because of Bruce Campbell.
To be fair, though, you could have said to Simon, "They're forcing me to watch this."
I know. They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Should have looked really, really upset and said, "They're forcing me to watch this." Bastard.
Yeah, I had seen, do you know what it is? It's the whole being ripped apart and eaten. And I don't mean in, hey, baby, in a sexual sort of way. I just mean as in my internal organs being taken out. Because there is one scene, I'm going to jump way to the end of the movie, but there is one scene where one of the characters is being disemboweled.
Yep.
And actually, this happened a couple of times. I thought, oh no, I'm being triggered. I can't take this.
Well, as we're being triggered, I might trigger you both as well, because actually I was wrong earlier. The World's End was the third one. So I do apologise, but thank you very much for saying that one, because you guys were right and I was wrong. So
all good. Well,
I wasn't wrong. I just didn't agree.
Okay.
That's a very tactical way of saying that.
Yeah.
Obviously, let's get into the film, shall we?
Absolutely.
Obviously, other than the zombies side of things, first of all, did you see the sort of Dawn of the Dead connection at the very start?
I did a little bit.
Yeah,
I saw it a little bit.
Yeah, because it was also like with regards to like the intro music as well, because they actually used the Dawn of the Dead intro music. When you actually, before you actually see any of the characters on the film, sort of thing.
Well, on the Dawn of the Dead thing, I've got from when I was reading, Romero was so impressed by this that he actually gave them parts in one of the films he made.
He did, yes. Because I've got the DVD of this film as well as watching it on Netflix as well. So, but because there's like little outros, bits, sort of extra bits, isn't there, on DVDs? And they actually showed the extras of the fact that they were on the George Romero films and stuff like that as well. So, that was obviously really good for them as well, isn't it? So
yeah, and I always like when you're looking at, like on the Cornetto trilogy, the one that I really like is Hot Fuzz. But I like the fact that when you're watching the work that Pegg and Frost do, you can always tell that they are leaning towards something that's influenced them, and they try and get people involved who've influenced them film-wise, thematically, which is something I do like about it. And they always come across, even with some really terrible traits in the characters, they always at least come across as likeable.
Yeah, very much so. I agree with that. And I don't want to gloat, but having met Simon Pegg a couple of years ago, thanks to Graham Arnold. Well, I mean, I would have met him anyway, but Graham Arnold paid for me to get an autograph with him. And he is such a nice guy in real life as well. So, I mean, obviously he was there at a convention, so the likelihood is...
Was it London?
Yeah, it was the time when you couldn't make it, unfortunately.
I know, that's why I remember it.
Yeah, so he was such a lovely guy. And I actually got somebody crocheted for me a cornetto. And I actually gave it to him.
Was it the right colour, though? Was it the right colour?
He said he was going to put it on his shelf. So, yeah,
Sweet.
I don't know if he did, obviously, but yeah.
Oh, come on, Gemma. Cling to the dream.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he did, obviously.
Yeah, we'll break into his house and rifle through his things, and if we don't find it on a shelf, then we'll just, I don't know, we'll club him to death. I actually have a hammer here in the living room at the moment, so maybe be able to use it. Actually, tactically right now, I'm probably well placed to take out any zombies, because I'm back to archery again, so I could get the bow out. And literally there is a hammer sitting in the living room at the moment because I've been working on costumes and I needed a hammer for something and I haven't put it away.
Well, actually, strangely enough, that was going to be my question at the end of the episode, but we may as well touch upon it now as you've brought it up. But I was going to say, do you think that you would be able to survive a zombie apocalypse? Obviously, before we actually get into the nitty-gritty of the film. So
I'm quite good with weapons. So I could probably take down quite a few, but I think they just get you in the end. I mean, I know that they'd actually used this film as an example of if there had been a zombie apocalypse, what exactly would happen and how the contagion would be spread. So I think we're just basically fucked, to be perfectly honest. And given what we've seen with COVID and the quarantines and people panic buying toilet roll, I think come the zombie uprising, we are snookered. There's not going to be all this community feeling between people getting together and helping each other. I think there's just,
one for all and all for one. But
yeah, there's going to be somebody hiding out in a giant toilet roll somewhere in the middle of the forest.
Actually, again, as you brought that up as well, did you see the skit or whatever, the little bit that Simon Pegg and Nick Frost did about the toilet roll shortages at the like in the beginning of the pandemic?
I did not know.
Well, they did. So they basically kind of redone this film in a way, but just like between like they were doing like a video call kind of thing, and they were saying, oh, we'll just we'll go to the Winchester, we'll go to the pub, whatnot, and the lines that they say in this film, to kind of survive the pandemic kind of thing. And then I think it's Simon Pegg says to Nick Frost, or obviously the other way around, they say, by the way, have you got a toilet roll that I can borrow or have or whatever? And the other one is like leaning on a pack of like 16 and says, oh no, sorry mate, I'm out. Well, I think it's actually Simon says it to Nick Frost, because that would make sense, because obviously Nick Frost's character is always on the phone sort of like trying to sell weed and stuff, isn't he? So I think it's that way round. But yeah, if I find it, I'll send it to you so you can see it as well.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Funny.
It is interesting when you see this. Certainly, like there's a point when Peg's character goes into, it's near the start of the film, he goes into the shop and they've got like on the front of one of the papers something that says like super flu. So I'm thinking this is very, it's very interesting to observe this after we've been, we've gone through a global pandemic. So the question of would I survive a zombie apocalypse? As one of my colleagues once pointed out, if I ever go to prison for a crime, it's never going to be anything that's particularly, like a nasty violent crime. It's going to be some white collar crime, like some sort of massive fraud. So would I survive a zombie apocalypse? Fuck no, I would not survive a zombie apocalypse. I would probably have to pay, I'd work on the principle of paying probably somebody like Joanne who's good with weapons to protect me. I know which side my bread's buttered. I know I'm going to survive, how I'd survive. I'd probably have to hire like mercenaries.
Yeah, I don't think you'd survive prison either, James, to be honest. I think you'd be banged stupid in the shower.
Yeah, I would be so popular. I recognise this. I would be so popular in prison, it'd be untrue.
It's the hair.
Oh, yeah, that blonde hair. That would be like...
Yeah, the hair, the general looks. Yeah, I'd be popular and not in a manner I'd want to be popular. Yeah.
You'd learn how to toss the salad.
I don't think I'd have any option, really, would I? It's like,
the other thing is,
you want to survive or not?
Yeah, about white collar crime. I have visions of you end up in prison with your jacket sleeves rolled up and espadrilles on, and a sort of like a Hawaiian shirt, and the whole Miami Vice sort of look about you as well, with your 80s white collar crime, or possibly dressed like Patrick Bateman.
I've got a different visual in my head, very similar to what you just said. So like shirt sleeves all rolled up and stuff like that, but actually stick on tattoos as well.
Yeah.
That could quickly wash off in the showers.
Yep. I mean, more than likely, I would go in, looking, as I said, as you sort of said, probably looking somewhat business-like. I probably wouldn't come out again, or if I did, I'd just be a husk of a human being. But we seem to have digressed onto discussing my possible incarceration, which I'm just going to play. I don't want to happen. I don't want to be done for fraud or anything like that. We've gone straight off the topic of the movie. So
let's begin then. So like obviously even down to like the opening scene, it does make me laugh, like how, like you've got the humans that are all sort of moving. You've got the checkout operator, you've got the gangs that are walking through the street, and it's so typical of, I was going to say typical London, because obviously it's based in London, but it's also typical human behaviour, because we all act like robots, don't we? We all do the same things, and one person checks their phone and then the other people check their phones, so that's kind of like the opening sequence, isn't it?
It's horrendously realistic for life, as you said, because think about it, people on buses sitting there doing whatever, the way people are walking along, the way people are working in the supermarkets, everyone has really become sort of in reality mindless zombies to the way things are.
Yeah.
And it's also the one that always makes me laugh is something my dad said, which is when you go into a city centre or you're going around places and people are doing a hands-free telephone conversation. They've got one of the earpieces, and he said, in the past you used to be able to tell the mental people from the other people to be telling to themselves, and now you've got to weigh up the odds, are they on the telephone or not?
I think this was 2004 as well. I can't remember back then whether, data wouldn't have been very prevalent. And did you notice how small the phones are? Back then a big phone was, you were a weirdo. It wasn't the end thing. Small phones were the way to go. And if you sent a text message, you had to really mean it, because you had to scroll through every blinking digit. Yeah. In work, I'm going off on a digress, whatever.
Digress.
That'll be it. I'm off on a side mission here. 7 years ago, one of the departments I was in, my mobile phone broke. My work mobile phone broke, and they gave me one that looked just like one of those phones.
Oh God,
Shaun of the Dead. And I was at the time I was actually having to send out tasks and information to project managers, and every time I had to type out a text message with a load of information, my thumbs were aching by the end of it. So I'm not surprised everybody was shuffling around, because they're probably exhausted from texting all the time.
And that's why
brain injury.
Yeah, and that's why text talk was a popular thing in those days, because it's not necessary now with kind of iPhones and all other kind of mobile phones nowadays, really. But it's like, what was WOT?
Yes.
Where you, and in the letter U, up to number 2 at the weekend, but it's like the @ symbol, and then it's WKEND or D, kind of thing.
Yeah, because it was, you had so many characters you were able to put into one, which was the equivalent of one text message, and it was something like 10, 12p, whatever it was. And every time you went above those characters, then you were charged for a second text message. So the idea was to get it all into the one. So you young people out there, you don't realise how good you have it.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. The other thing that really ages this film, though, is you see people smoking inside. Well, you see smoking, because you don't really see that anymore, do you? They always say that about, like, when you watch Ghostbusters, one of the things that really ages that is people smoking in it. But it was one of the things that really hit me watching this. I was like, holy shit, I remember being able to do that. Smoke in a pub.
Yeah. 2007 that bang came in. I know it well. Started in bloody Ireland as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, the joke was that back at the time was that suddenly everybody had stopped smoking and you could smell other people in the pub.
Yeah.
It was the smoke was doing away with a lot of the BO. Well, I've never been a smoker, so I used to go out for a night and I would come home and I'd have to air my clothes for about 2 or 3 days if it was something that you could stick in the washing machine. So I was delighted with the smoke ban, but yes, it was a bit of a surprise when it came in because nobody thought the smoking lobby would have lost that one.
Yeah, it was an interesting thing because, I mean, I haven't smoked for years, but yeah, it was, you would go out and be able to happily smoke. Well, inside, I used to smoke in restaurants. God, it was great. But anyway.
We've been officially recording for about 20 minutes now, and we've actually covered that people look like zombies in real life, and that's it.
Yeah.
Enjoyable.
And the fact that I really want a cigarette, but
well, so do I. But we've got to record, and I'm actually a smoker.
Yeah, I know.
No, but that opening scene is really clever because the one thing, just to encapsulate the whole film, it feels extremely modern. Taking away the technology and some of the TV programs and Trisha and all this sort of thing, and VCRs and CRT monitors, the subject matter is very relevant today. How we live our lives, we're probably more zombified now than we were even back then because of the access to technology, and everybody's just engrossed in their own little worlds. And people are walking into each other, and you see people out walking their dogs now. They're not talking to their dogs anymore. They're just head down, phone on, and that's it. The dog's just wandering about its heart's content, not getting any information from its owner. And it just felt quite 2021 right now after COVID. I thought it was supposed to have been a reflection on the post 9/11, but to be perfectly honest, if you brought that right up to date now, it would the whole subject matter would feel fresh about COVID.
True.
Yeah.
I do like the fact, John, that before you make that point, you listed every single thing that made it old.
I know. It did. Listen, yeah, there was a lot that makes it old, but the actual subject matter is fresh because you even have in it, you have deniers in it as well. You have people who deny. No, it's just a flu. I mean, where have we heard that one?
I ran it under a tap. We can get onto later.
But you are right on the fact that still this would work. You could literally take this entire script, you could take the way it's put together, and you could make this now without any real problem. It would work as a subject matter. And it is very intelligent that they've taken a zombie film and made it into a comedy. I mean, that is a very intelligent way of doing things. Because most of the time when you look at anything that's a zombie film, and I guess you see in the other areas of the Cornetto trilogy as well, they're taking what would archetypally be straight dramatic or horror pieces and turning something comedic and working. And it shows that how well this team actually operates, making films that they've been able to do that.
I think they cut their teeth on this movie. That's certainly, as clever as the opening scenes were, very first time I went to watch this, I think I got through about the first 15 minutes or so, and I turned it off. It just didn't click with me at all. I found it slightly boring. It wasn't until the zombies came into it that suddenly my interest was piqued. And the second time I watched it, I had no bother at all for some reason. And even last night, I thought, I'm a bit bored at the beginning of this film, but I just need to hang in with it. And then once the zombies came, that's to me, it's really when it kicks off. It's the drudgery of everyday life, I think, that gets me at the beginning of the movie.
Do you know, I think that's quite an interesting point, though, because if you think about everyday life, it's boring.
Mm-hmm.
So life doesn't get exciting until something interesting or catastrophic or whatever happens. You know, kind of day-to-day life is pretty much routine and boring. So in some ways, you know, like I can kind of see, you know, that, you know, almost that's kind of almost what they intended to do, I suppose. Obviously, they've put the jokes and stuff in there as well, like you've got red on you and with a red pen and stuff like that. But yeah, it is like mundane, isn't it?
Yeah, and I had been a massive fan of Spaced. I don't know whether you'd seen that. That was a series that had been out sometime before, yeah. And they actually had a zombie bit within Spaced, because he had been playing Resident Evil 2 all night, and he was just out of his mind with it and hallucinating there was a zombie attack. So that's where the inspiration came from it. And to me, Spaced I haven't watched it now in a long time. I actually picked up the box set one time, extremely cheap, in a charity shop, and I keep meaning to go back to watch it again because it was like nothing else on TV at that time.
Yeah. Well, it's currently on Netflix as well if you wanted to watch it. It's either Netflix or Amazon, but I'm pretty certain it's Netflix. So
I'll have to take your word for it on Space, because I think I've only ever seen one episode of it. It was people I was at university with were really deeply into it, but I never ever saw it. But I mean, like one of the guys I was at uni with, he's the one who got me into sort of watching some of these films, but he was really into Space, very much so.
Yeah, it was great. I don't know whether it stands the test of time. I said the word time again. That's about 4 goes. I've used the word time, and in the last 2 paragraphs.
Have you got it on a bingo list, Joanne?
I know, it's like
how many times can I fit time in?
Bingo!
Take a drink for every time I've said it. Oh, there we go. There's another one.
What else I love when you're watching this film is seeing what else people have gone on to, because you've got some people who've gone on to some really big things. You know, Peg's gone on to do Star Trek, and God, I can never pronounce Peter, the guy they live with, whose name I can never pronounce his surname.
No, I can't either. So we'll just call him Peter.
Yeah, Peter. Yeah. He went on to doing things like, was it The Tick, and he was in God, what's it called? Guardians of the Galaxy. So he's gone on some big stuff.
And
then Nick
Frost
has as well. So
Dylan Moran did Black Books.
Yes, yeah. Yep. And
which is brilliant.
You're gonna love me for this. So all I know is it's Jasper Carrot's daughter's in this, yeah? Whose name I cannot remember.
Jessica Hine.
Her daughter.
Yeah. Now I said I'd do it, or you said it'd happen. DC Comics link, Wonder Woman.
She was.
Yes. Because I thought.
Bow down to me.
That's right. Oh, and I'm trying to remember her name because I have a pop of that character. They were selling them out cheap. Oh, damn it. She was really good in Wonder Woman. She's also in, how I remembered her, I completely forgot about the DC bit. I remembered her from The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina because she's one of the aunties in it.
That's true. I've not seen it, but I did. Yeah.
That's right. She was the assistant to the guy that turned out to be Mars.
She's not one of the aunties.
Is she not? Am I hallucinating?
I don't think so. I'm just
getting people mixed up.
In the new stuff. I thought she was in it.
Doesn't look like it.
I thought that was her.
I can't see. No, I'm pretty certain it's not her.
Lucy Davis. Ah, right.
Yeah, Lucy Davis is the auntie. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Yeah, I got that completely wrong. See, this is the problem. When people are young, I get them mixed up.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is all white people look the same.
Pretty much to me, yes. Especially when they're young. See, when people they just all look so young. It's one of those movies where you go, I know him. I know her.
Hang on, but have we not all been discussing Lucy Davis?
No.
Apparently not.
But no. We are discussing Lucy Davis, because Lucy Davis is definitely in this. She plays Diana in Shaun of the Dead. She's the lady who's in Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84 is Etta Candy. And she definitely was in Sabrina.
Yep.
She 100% was, but I was talking about Jessica Hines.
Oh, right. See, this is where I got really confused. I thought, I'm sure we're talking about Lucy Davis. How did we get onto Jessica Hines, who was in Space?
Because you brought it up. You said well, I don't know if it was right, but you said Jasper Carrot's daughter.
I said Jasper Carrot's daughter. That's Lucy Davis.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that, but I said Jessica Hines, and you said
really. Yeah. Ignore. So we've just basically, it's great, isn't this, Salty Tadpoles? We managed to have all three of us. We've kind of been in the right ballpark. I didn't know the person's name. I had to go on to be absolutely sure it was, and we all kind of meant the same thing, but didn't mean the same person. Weird.
Yeah, don't edit this at all, because this is just classic. This is what goes on behind the scenes where everybody goes.
This really is the Halloween. This is the Halloween horror episode, because we are literally just it's just so weird and horrific.
And the final trick is we're not going to talk anything about this film.
No, we're not. We're probably just going to skirt around the edges and discuss all the people who were kind of involved with it.
Oh dear. Yeah, I was going to say, with regards to like the first, I'm going to jump into the film now. So, you've got the first sort of scenes, which, it's kind of mundane life, Shaun is his girlfriend's, kind of had enough of him, really. They're doing the same old thing, which is basically they go to the pub every day, blah, blah, blah. It looks like the two of them are just having an intimate conversation, but then all of a sudden, like, the camera pans out and you see, like, she's brought her best friends, which is Lucy Davis and Dylan Thomas, is it?
Dylan Thomas? Is that your right?
Dylan Moran.
Oh, Dylan Moran.
Dylan Thomas is a poet.
No, he's a poet. He's been dead for quite a long time. I am loving this episode. It's definitely the level of madness. This is brilliant. I can imagine if I played this to my dad, he'd be going, "And what film were you discussing?"
Oh, the tears are tripping me.
Can I just say, if Dylan Thomas was in, I'd be really impressed.
Yeah, well, he could have been. He could have been one of the zombies, guys.
Exactly.
Oh,
I gotta look up to see when he died. He was a Welsh poet. Let's see. He died in 1953, so he could have been a zombie. Technically, if he was there, he was a zombie.
He'd be a bit whiffy, though.
That's true.
Oh dear. And anyway, so Ed's there as well, and it's kind of like, it's just basically mundane life until, like Joanne said, that the action kind of starts up really on kind of day 2 in a way. But they've also got an inability to not shut doors as well, have they?
Well, they live in a pretty disgusting environment. It's like just looking at student housing, really. All the worst possible forms of it.
There is one bit where actually Simon Pegg says to the Nick Frost character, everybody's name's just gone out of my head now because I'm still laughing. Did you clean up? He went, yeah, I did earlier. Well, it's terrible now. Yeah, but I had a few beers afterwards. It's just brilliant.
Oh, which is ridiculous, isn't it? But he jotted down everybody's answer machine messages, not just his own. So when but also it's kind of like on day 2, it's actually quite interesting because Shaun goes out and he gets his cornetto and his paper. Well, there's no papers, but he goes through his normal everyday life. And he completely misses the bloody handprint on the door of the sort of Coke fridge type thing. Yeah. He skids on the floor. He completely misses everything. So it is just like evidence of how people do just walk around in their own little days.
And as Joanne said earlier, you both hit upon it earlier, it's ever more so now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
we can have a generation of people with really bad necks because they spend all the time looking at the smartphones.
Yeah.
The director, apparently that scene where Shaun is staggering off to the shop, he took that from how he went one Sunday morning after a really heavy night's drinking, how he went to the corner shop and shuffled round everywhere, not noticing the thing that was going on. So they kind of kept that in the film.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's actually good that it's brought from sort of real life kind of thing.
Yeah, he's just completely oblivious. Doesn't notice a thing. What gets me is we're all seeing this. We're thinking, because there's elements of it in the build up to that scene. You could see it. There's hints that the zombies are coming. There's the tramp that's eating the pigeons. There's the fella and girl outside the pub when they leave the Winchester that night. And they're like, "Oh, you haven't eaten enough, you." And it's evident that I can't figure out which one was the zombie. And then there's the other guy. They're singing a song to each other. Yeah. And one of the zombies is joining in. Yeah. That's when it really started to pick up for me. I really laughed at that bit. So it's the fact that they're so shit-faced that they don't notice all this is going around them. And it's quite, because I can say this because I'm from across the water, it's such an quintessentially English type of reaction as we would see it to things like, oh, look, let's be terribly polite about this. I mean, nobody has any weapons of any mass destruction. I mean, they're throwing Sade records at the zombies when they finally come across them. They've nothing of any use at all. I have to go into the shed actually to get anything and put a pin in the shed because the shed actually turns out to be quite important later on in the movie.
It does, yes. But yeah, going to the sort of girl, because they find a girl in the garden, don't they? And they think that she's incredibly drunk. And they're trying to take, she's on top of Shaun because, she's trying to eat him. But they think that she's like still really drunk. So Ed runs in to actually get a camera, disposable camera, to take a photo.
And they pause at the right moment as well, just looking up.
Yeah. But it's not until they, like Shaun gets a little bit more sort of aggressive in a way and pushes her off, and she falls onto the washing line stand thing.
That's very well done.
Yeah.
It's, the result of that is very well done.
Yes, it goes right through her, but then she starts getting up, and it's like they're like, so they go in, of course, and put the telly on.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fact that they just literally just plant themselves in front of the TV and you're like,
Yeah, that was weird, but but then it's all over the news, sort of saying about the fact that, there's this crazy thing going on at the moment, and the only way to survive it is to destroy the brain, sort of take their heads off sort of thing. Typical things that people who like zombie films know. And then they realise the reference why I made the fact that they didn't shut the door was because then all of a sudden they look over and there's a zombie just walked into the house.
It actually looks like either the best man or the groom.
At a wedding, yeah. But it's more the fact I like the way they react to it. They scream, they'll sort of just throw their arms up when they're doing it, and then
it's like, oh no, he's got no arm.
and then the moment when they suddenly remember that Pete might still be in the house.
Yes, and actually, we've kind of skipped across the fact that Pete got bitten as well, didn't we?
Oh gosh, yes, that's right.
Yeah, he thought that he was being mugged and somebody bit his hand. So, he just got it bandaged, put a plaster on it kind of thing. A very British thing to do as well. And so they realise that he's still in the house. And they're like, Pete!
Pete with a very cool voice.
Yeah, he has got a very deep, husky voice, isn't he? Like,
Yep, it is. I'm very envious of him for his voice. It's very good.
I don't know whether you've seen Black Books, but there's a great scene with him in Black Books where he is the shipping forecast announcer on the news.
Okay.
On radio, whatever it is, Radio 4 or whatever, and it comes on at 2 a.m. And the female character, she actually masturbates to his voice.
Yeah, she rings him up, doesn't she?
She does, because he finishes the broadcast too soon.
See, I haven't really. I watched Black Books, but I haven't watched it in full, so I don't know it in great detail, to be honest.
Oh,
so
good.
Yeah, I'll have to put that on my list.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
I know that the writer, he did Father Ted Graham Linehan, and
okay,
he's kind of had his detractors recently, because he said some insensitive things on Twitter about trans people. So I don't know whether it's cool to listen to or to watch his stuff anymore, but I watched it before that all kicked off, and I just love Black Books. I love Dylan Moran. I actually went to see him live one night in Belfast, not as a zombie, but actual live, and he's brilliant. He's really, really good. Yeah. But I mean, the cast, you can't fault that cast.
No, definitely not. Is he as good as Dylan Thomas?
It wasn't as poetic, funny enough, and he didn't tell any limericks, which was really disappointing.
Oh dear. Well, at least I knew who Dylan Thomas was. Well, I knew the name.
It's all good.
Yeah, well, that's because we're all very educated in this podcast, and I'm just wondering how many people, the fact that we're cracking up laughing, how many people are actually listening. Hopefully somebody's listening, but apart from that, how many people will listen and go, what the hell are they talking about? Who's Dylan Thomas?
I'm hoping not. I'm hoping not too many people. One of the things that I find interesting when I watch this film is their car. They've got the Renault. My friend used to have that car. So every time I see it, I just keep having like a flash thinking it's one of my friend's old cars. It was a piece of crap. I will say that. I'll say that's someone who's driven it. So I'm quite impressed that the character survives in this film.
Well, it doesn't survive for long.
No, but as long as it does
Yes.
survive.
No, the fact that he wraps it round a lamppost or a tree or whatever it is, and Simon, this is whenever they go to rescue her mum, his mum, his mum, yeah. Oh, by the way, she's called Barbara, and that was in reference to the first zombie movie by George. And there's a quote in it. One of the characters is called Barbara, and he says they're coming to get you, Barbara. And it's actually a quote from the movie. They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Yeah, because that's what they do next, isn't they? They after they've sorted out the 3 zombies that are kind of imminently on their doorstep, they don't realise that Pete's a zombie at this point, I don't think. No, because they haven't actually thought to pinch his car kind of thing, or borrow his car, metaphorically. Yeah, they devise a plan, don't they? Because Shaun and Liz, his girlfriend, have just broken up. So, you know, that's why they went out drinking. This is all over the place, isn't it? So, don't watch this along with the film. Don't listen to this along with the film, because you're never going to get it. You're going to be constantly rewinding.
I'd say do, just to add to the confusion. Do it. Just see if you watch the film, listen to this, run it at exactly the same time, and see if you can follow the plot at all. In fact, treat this as a fun Halloween game. Yeah, read some Dylan Thomas.
Yes.
Read some Dylan Thomas. Get some Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84 on, so you know who Lucy Davis is. So you get the reference. Or is it Jessica Hines? You see, you can ask yourself that question watching it. Who is this woman? Where have I seen her before?
She's not in Wonder Woman.
Yeah, but do you know what this is like? It's like when people get together after seeing the same movie in work or whatever, or the pub.
Yeah.
Or you bump into your mates. Did you see such and such last night? Yeah. And you never talk about it in a linear fashion.
No,
it's always that bit at the end. What do you think of the ending? Oh, that was brilliant. Yeah, but what about all the rest of the movie? You never talk about it as it actually happens. Or what happens is whenever James and I do that, for instance, like for Batman Returns, it went on for 2.5 hours, which is probably about an hour or so longer than the actual movie.
I still would love to see how we would manage Zack Snyder's Justice League, because that's like what?
I know.
Is it a 4 or 6 hour film? So I reckon we'd do that as one of those marathons. It's like a 12-hour run.
Anyway, stop talking about DC.
You brought us a film with Lucy Davis. I said I would find a DC link, and by God, I did it.
You did. Well done. I'm very proud of you. Now back to the film. So anyway, so Shaun has broken up with his girlfriend, you know, because she just needs to kind of get a life, and he's kind of holding her back and whatnot. And so anyway, so he and Ed devise a plan, because he's just had a telephone call from his mum, who's Barbara. You know, they say, oh, you know, Mum, are you okay? And she's like, yes, I'm okay. You know, but she's a bit hesitant as she's saying. So he goes, are you sure you're okay? And then they said that the stepdad, whose name's completely gone out of my head at the moment, but Bill Nighy.
Philip? Is it Philip? I think it's Philip.
Yes, that's right. So, and she says that Phil's been bitten. Both Ed and Shaun sort of sigh and sort of say, oh, thank God, you know, like it's all good, because he's the stepdad and they don't particularly get on. So, you know, neither of them care about him. So, yeah, devise this plan that they're going to go round, they're going to get Shaun's mum, they're going to kill Phil.
That's a completely different film from Kill Bill. Kill Phil was the English version.
Phil.
They're going to go to Liz's and they're going to have a lovely cup of tea. But then Ed's like, oh, I want to have a place where I can smoke. So then the plan changes. They're going to, you know, steal the car. They're going to go to the mum's, kill Phil, get Liz, and then go to the Winchester, isn't it? Because that's when, oh no, they were going to come back to their own house. But then they realised that wasn't safe. So then the last scenario is that all of that, apart from they're going to go to this pub, the Winchester, which is the story is kind of based around, isn't it?
Yeah, and Ed's kind of keen to go to the Winchester as well, because he thinks that the Winchester rifle above the bar is live.
Yeah.
That it hasn't been deactivated. Because he said at the beginning of the film that he thought the owner of the bar was connected with the mob.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's one thing having the idea, then the next thing is putting the idea into plan, which kind of quickly goes wrong, doesn't it? So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
they're not terribly good. I mean, they go from having a car to having a better car. Though to me personally, I'm sorry, I don't like Jaguars. Yeah, never did. To getting a Jaguar with everybody in it to nothing, because that all goes horribly wrong as well.
Yeah, yeah, because they go to his mum's, don't they? In the red car, whatever.
The Renault.
Yeah. Whatever. You know, a red car with 5 wheels because there's a steering wheel.
I can tell I'm on a podcast with 2 women.
It was shiny.
How dare you, sir?
Tell that. Discussing cars. What's that? I like that red one. Red one.
How dare you, sir? I'm the one that has 2 motorbikes, you know.
I was going to say, to be honest, James, I think it's kind of only me that's struggling with the cars here. So.
Okay, I'll take it back. I personally like the Jag, but, you know, that's just me.
It's just an old man's car, James. It's an old man's car. You don't really want a Jag. My stepdad has one.
It's all wood and leather. It's delighted.
Anyway, let's not focus on the car.
Okay.
We were going to only record for an hour this episode. There we go.
Oops.
That's all good. Yeah, so anyway, they go to the house, and Ed decides that he's going to drive around and beep the horn. Oh, no, he's parked, and he's going to beep the horn if anything happens, because at this point, Shaun's only going in to get his mum, kill Phil, and then get out, you know, kind of thing. But, you know, that goes wrong when Philip is still alive and his mum won't go anywhere without him. Mm-hmm. And that's when Phil sort of turns around or Philip, whichever, he turns around and goes, you know, like says about the bite that he's got and that he's just run it under the tap. You know, he was fine. He's just run it under the tap.
I know, they thought they were just waiting for the doctor. This is the thing that kind of confused me slightly was Phil, you get the impression that Phil had been bitten before they arrived, but it's not until he's bitten later on, isn't it, that he actually physically turns into the zombie in the back of the Jag?
Yeah. So it might take a bit of time because if you think about it, because when Pete got bitten, he got bitten the day before, didn't he?
Oh, yes. True.
He finds it, because it's later on, isn't it? He finds Pete in the shower.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's a naked zombie.
Yeah, it's a delay. Yeah, with a strategically placed gate. It's it must make a delayed reaction to the bite, mustn't it?
Yeah, but then because he got bitten a second and third time, because there was like two zombies sort of biting him, then I think it sort of upped the process.
Yeah.
Increased his viral load.
Yeah. Getting stung by 3 wasps, I guess.
That would be worse.
And what, being stung by a wasp would be worse than getting eaten by a zombie?
Depends how you look at it, I guess. Depends how much you like wasps. I hate the little bastards.
I mean, I do.
I'm looking at it that the risk of being stung by a wasp is, say, 70%. And the risk of being bitten by a zombie is maybe 0%.
And yet you still got a fear of zombies.
I know, it's such a fucking stupid.
All I'm going to say is who knows, because there is in reality a plan that was written up. What would happen for the military to deal with the zombie apocalypse?
Ooh.
I think they'd be better off just shooting themselves.
But there has actually been something written up to deal with that, what the actual situation would be, and how you deal with that sort of thing.
Just on a side mission here again, there's a great book called World War Z. Ignore the movie, read the book. Yeah, because the book is superb, and it talks about what happens from patient zero on up to practically the human race being made extinct, and all mammals, and it's phenomenal, and it's a very haunting sort of book. It's completely the opposite of Shaun of the Dead. I never watched the movie because it has zombies in it, but the book is absolutely fantastic.
I watched Oh, go on. Sorry.
No.
I was going to say I watched the film World War Z, and I actually did quite enjoy it. So
yeah, I couldn't watch it because the zombies were running and all sorts of things, and just at least these zombies in the shuffle.
Yeah, I don't like fast zombies. No, that's not real. No.
Oh. I mean, there is a link. Sorry, to 28 Days Later in this movie as well. There's mention of rabbit monkeys later on escaping from some lab. Mm-hmm.
So, James, what are you desperately trying to say?
All I was going to say, it's all right. It's not too important. I'd just say that obviously watching this film, I would say for all the characters involved that, yes, it's awful that they're going through these zombie attacks, but it does seem quite a good stress reliever for them because they seem to spend all the time just hitting things with either, hockey sticks, cricket bats. So there would be one benefit of, zombie attack. It'd be a good way of getting all your anger and stress and resentment out. Just beating things.
Yeah, yes. And sometimes in time to cool music as well.
That's true.
Yeah. We need to cover that scene in great detail because that's one of my favourite scenes. Well, not great detail, but at least a little bit of detail. So anyway, the next trip is that they do get Shaun's mum, and they switch cars. So because the other one's a write-off, even though he was parked, he managed to drive it into a lamppost. So basically the four of them are in the car at the moment, and they're going to Liz's flat. They go to sort of save her. At that point, there's quite a few zombies that are outside of the flat. So, they're a little bit worried about letting Shaun in. But then he does actually climb up to the window, doesn't he, to save them?
Yeah, so he can get in. He's like waggling the cricket bat.
Yeah. I wonder what you're going to say there, James.
Well, got to keep you guessing.
He's a bit like the Prince. Oh, I just bit my tongue. Like that was a bit of a zombie attack there. He's a wee bit like the prince trying to rescue the princess in the tower.
Mm-hmm.
You think about it, climbing
true.
up.
That is true.
Oh, there you go. That's me being all intelligent and shit.
Brilliant. So anyway, so he makes it up to the flat, and he convinces them to that they need to come with him. And that their plan is to go to the Winchester. And they're like, why the Winchester? But then it's kind of a lot of repeating itself at this stage. So, I've already said what the plan is. So, you go back and listen to that bit.
That would be a question I would ask. Why the Winchester? Why are we going to the pub in the middle of a zombie apocalypse?
Do you know what was quite cute? That the mum and the ex-girlfriend finally get to meet.
Yes. Yeah, that is one thing, isn't it? That is, actually quite a nice thing. So,
and it's all very like, hello.
Oh, lovely to meet you. So they're driving there, and then all of a sudden, Phil, he has a very sentimental moment with Shaun, saying, like kind of thing. It's that, Shaun was 12 when he met, and it's hard to be a stepdad, and blah, 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 blah. And then Phil dies in the car. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that the car has still got child locks on it, so none of them can get out. So they're stuck. The ones that are in the back are all stuck, actually not being able to actually get out of the car because obviously these child locks. So they all basically at this point they all have to sort of get out as quickly as possible. Ed kind of does a little moment where he panics or he's not really sure what to do, but he's kind of not opening the door is the main thing.
Yeah, I would call this scene as Ed is fucking useless.
Yeah. So like Liz opens the door to let the three of them out, the three people that are in the back out. And then that means obviously they can't now get back into the car because Phil, the zombie, is in there now. So they have to go for a mission of actually going for, kind of walking the streets of London to get back to the pub, really.
Which ties in well to meeting people, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, because this is where there's the crossover from Spaced as well.
The alternative zombie hunters.
Yeah.
Now, is that Jessica Carrot? Jasper Carrot's daughter?
No.
Is it not? Who the fuck is Jasper Carrot's daughter?
For God's
Lucy
sake, John,
Davis.
you're a DC fan.
I know.
You're supposed to have this.
I got so confused earlier that I couldn't even remember which one was just. I'm going to keep going and say Jasper
Lucy
Carrot.
Davis is blonde with a beanie hat on.
So
And
that's
she's
Carrot's
Jasper.
daughter?
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
See, that's what James was. Not James. That's what Joanne was asking. Not who was the lady that was in DC. She was asking who was Jasper Carrot's daughter.
Yeah, but she's the one who's in. Come on, stay with the salty tadpoles. We get better on this.
We can do this. Do you know what it's like? It's like trying to fight our way through dead brain cells, zombie brain cells to get to the Winchester. And we're on a mission at the moment.
Yeah, it's like really drunk people trying to have a conversation.
2 or 3 drunk people trying to drive to the Winchester, shit-faced.
I mean, it is a brilliant little scene, though, for all the different actors, certainly. I'll tell you what, this film, we've mentioned, like, obviously DC, because I've got to get that in somewhere. I've got to find somewhere to wedge it in. But I do love if you look to this from just like another thing that's very British, but if you look at it from like a Doctor Who perspective, the amount of people who've been in Doctor Who who are in this film is unbelievable, especially on that crossover bit, because I think pretty much all of them have actually at some point been in Doctor Who.
Mark Gatiss is actually one of the voiceovers in some of the TV programs. So you know the way that you get clips from TV programs coming through? Apparently Mark Gatiss was one of the announcers in it. And he's a writer for Doctor Who, yep. And also Sherlock. And some of them have been in Sherlock too.
Yep, it's a hell of a good crossover, this film. If you wanted to find links throughout the British sort of film and TV thing, you're looking at it in this one.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
3 degrees of Kevin Bacon sort of shit going on.
Yeah.
Or is it 6 degrees?
It's 6 degrees, but I'm enjoying it. I want to know what the 3 degrees one is. It must be the most simple game ever. Yeah, that one done. This is like when I ask you to mark something out of 10 or 5. You always give me a really weird number. I'm like, give it out of 5, John. Well, I give it 8. I give it 8. Brilliant. That isn't why I asked, but brilliant.
The 3 degrees was a singers in the 70s.
I think the 3 degrees was a band.
Yeah, it was 3 singers in the 70s. They were sort of like disco and things like that, weren't they?
Possibly, I don't know. Come on, Gemma. This is like herding cats, isn't it?
It is like herding cats, you're right. I'll get more sense out of the bloody dog nowadays.
Oh,
dear.
No,
James, I'm going to let you...
She's telling the truth, Salty Tadpoles. She does get more sense out of the doggy.
I'm just laughing so much.
It's such a Halloween episode, isn't it? But perfect for us. No, James, I'm going to let you take this scene because you said you like this scene. So you carry on.
Well, I just love the little part of the crossing each other. But I certainly just like the way you see all the different people interacting with one another, the different actors. But I think one of the favourite bits for me is actually the scene that just comes after.
Okay, well, you've just ruined the great scene, so I'm just going to take over again for a second, and then you can talk about the scene after.
That's fine.
So basically, I'm just trying to paint a picture, James. You know, come on.
I'm sorry. Be Bob Ross.
The stars. So basically, they're walking down an alleyway. Sean's character meets up with an old friend, who is played by Jessica Hines, sorry. And, they're good friends, so they, sort of say, "Oh, Shaun," kind of thing, and give each other hugs. But that's also like a spaced connection as well, because they were all, not all of them, but quite a few of them are in space together as well. So as they're crossing over, what happens is that, like Shaun and Jessica Hines' character, they're kind of the leader, and then you've got the sort of boyfriend and girlfriend, then you've got the mums, then you've got like the best friend, who is the other guy is played by Matt Lucas, and so forth. So basically it's like a mirror image of the same people walking past, but like the male female in some cases alternative. So, it's quite a funny scene. So, I didn't really want to slide over that, but there we go.
Because I was basically making a dog's dinner of that one, but it's like in fact, I'm going to help Gemma out a little bit because I've managed to get she's made the choice herself, but to watch little bits of Seinfeld. So if you watch Seinfeld, there's something called the Bizarro scene, where it's the alternate versions of the people, which is obviously what you're also getting here. But the
DC reference.
Yeah.
Bizarro.
Made it without even realising it. But I particularly, because I think I saw Hot Fuzz before this, and I've gathered it's a trope in a lot of these Cornetto films, which is the idea of taking a shortcut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I just love how it never ever works. Like in this one, it just goes straight through it.
Goes straight through what though?
Yeah, through it's a fencing panel, isn't it? It just boom.
Yeah, he tries to jump over the fence because he's like being all cocky, isn't he? And and the fence panel just drops to the floor as he's trying to jump over it.
But I love the idea that when you're seeing them going to be able to actually get to the pub, there's obviously a lot of zombies. And the thing they work on the idea of this, it's how we're going to get through to get into the Winchester. The thing they actually operate on is the idea of basically being zombies. So, which I don't think would work, but the idea of being zombies to get through the zombies.
Yeah, and it's also quite funny as well, just before that bit, that Shaun uses the ladder of a slide to kind of step up to look over the last fence to see if if there's any zombies at the sort of Winchester pub. And he comes back down and they're like, so is there any? And he's like, lots.
Oh, I know, that was quite chilling. But we actually just missed an important part. His mum gets bitten.
Yes.
Ooh.
As they're trying to do the shortcut, because she thought she recognised one of the neighbours. It was such a... I know she was the mum, but she was a real mum character. I recognised some of my mum in that mum. My mum's absolutely lovely, and I could just imagine her doing some of those things.
Yeah. Stuff it with a tissue, it'll be fine, kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because the zombie comes in after her as well, don't they? And they've got like a swing ball, and they decide to, Shaun's like swinging it around and bashing him on the head with the ball.
Instead of using it to spear the damn zombie, he's playing a game with the thing.
But then they he ends up sort of spearing it. That's where becoming zombies kind of comes into play, doesn't it?
Yeah,
well, it's Lucy Davis's character idea of like doing it as almost like a dance exercise, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, she's an actress, isn't she?
Yeah.
So she's performing.
In fact, she's called the field actress by Shaun at one point.
Well, he never called her a failed an actress, but he did. Sorry, he never called her a failed actress, but he did call the chappie, whatever his name is, a wanker.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah,
and he was.
So, James, what happened in this scene then?
Well, they've managed to finally get through, don't they? And they get obviously through all the zombies, and they've gone to the pub. They're outside the pub, but of course they've still got hordes of little buggers hanging around creating a problem for them. You're going to have to tell me out here, because Nick Frost's character, who's he on the phone to? Because they're trying to get into the pub and they can't get in.
Yeah, so he's on the phone to somebody who's trying to buy weed off him.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, mate, nah, I got none. I like literally got a little bit for myself, nah, I ain't got none. So yeah, him and Shaun kind of have a big tiff outside the pub, don't they?
But
and all the zombies watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the solution of the, Dylan's character does, of to try and get in, he just like loses his rag.
Yeah.
Empties out a bin, throws it through the window. It's probably, when you've got hordes of zombies outside, it's probably not the safest thing to do, because they might be able to get through. But hats off to Shaun for the fact that in order to allow them to give them this chance of life, he then basically works to distract all the zombies.
He does, yeah. He said, he ran off and got them to follow him, didn't they? So
yeah, he does like a weird dance in front of them to get their attention, and then sort of like runs off.
So, hey!
I that would work. I don't know.
I mean,
obviously the zombies can't count. We either go after one human and eat him, or we get the meat feast if we just stand around here.
It was probably the movement that they were attracted to, but yeah.
The T-Rex.
Yes. Kind of. T-Rex clapping. Poor T-Rex.
Clever girl.
Poor T-Rexes. So anyway, so they make their way into the pub as Shaun is taking the zombies elsewhere, and the next scene basically is that they've kind of boarded up the window with like tables and stuff. And they're trying to turn on the lights, and he's like, well, because Dylan's character is actually called David, so just in case we reference him at any point, because these names are coming back to me. He's trying to turn on the lights, and Liz is like, well, we don't want to give away our whereabouts, do we? Kind of thing. Don't be stupid. And so they kind of like, so they hadn't boarded up the window at this point because they're hoping that Shaun's going to come through the window. But it turns out in the end that Shaun comes through the back door because he was going to tell them there is a back door entrance, kind of thing.
He also shows excellent reflexes on catching a packet of, is it pork scratchings or something?
Yes.
Yeah. Or peanuts, I think, because he offers everybody a peanut later on. Once they realise he doesn't actually have a plan, because I think he kind of becomes a hero to everyone, especially when they all think he's maybe dead. Suddenly he was the golden boy, and then when he arrives back and he gets the lights working, then he doesn't have a plan, and the disappointment between the group is palpable.
Yeah, definitely.
The way they're all just sort of sat around in the dark drinking, basically.
Yeah.
Because probably at this point, if you think about it, you're thinking, well, how are we going to get out of this? Options aren't looking very good. Let's just drink ourselves into oblivion.
Well, they managed to get the TV on, but then they realised that literally nothing is on because obviously there's no one to actually put it on. And then sort of the next bit of excitement really is, when Shaun's putting the lights on, he realises that the zombies he thought he gave the slip to, actually they followed him. So that was pretty awful. That's a wee bit like whenever I live about a mile away from Loch Ness. Yeah. Yes, not Loch Ness, Loch Ness. And so when the loch flies come out, if you put the window on, or no, hang on, if you put the light on, all the flies get attracted to the window, and it's disgusting because they just crawl all over it. And that's just what that reminded me of. Oh, that's not nice.
No. Pictures, please.
Oh, you just can't open the back door at all in the summer. If you put the back light on, you can't open the door. And it's been particularly bad with the mild winter. Oh. I
mean, I just like the way that in this film, when he does, he flicks on the power, sees all the zombies, his reaction to it is, pulls the blind down.
Yes, I just turn that light off and pull the blind down.
And comes back in with that look of, oh, God. Yeah. Oh, God.
It's not like they're moths and they'll go away because the light's turned off.
But it is that look of like, oh, crap, that you can see when he comes back into the actual main part of the pub and he's just looking like, he's terrified, isn't he? Because what the hell do you do? It's like, oh my God.
And all of this is going on while the jukebox is playing, because that's why he's there, to try and turn the jukebox off. And Queen's Don't Stop Me Now is going on at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah, because it all plays on random, doesn't it? The jukebox.
But even down to the lights flickering and stuff like that, it's all to the rhythm of the music. Mm-hmm. As well, and then the landlord and the landlady, I think it was Bernie and something, Bernie and John, I think are the names. They burst through the upstairs, the door that leads them to downstairs. Basically, they live above the pub, and they're then bashing them on the head with what's it called? With a pool cue, wasn't he?
Oh, yes, that's right. And it's all in time to the music as well. The choreography was fantastic. That must have been great fun to try and work that out.
Yeah. And as I understand it, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that guy, the pub landlord, I think he was actually a stunt double for somebody. So, yeah, and I think it was to do with kind of like, not necessarily Goodfellas, but that kind of thing. So, he was quite an important stunt double.
Well, I remember reading that a lot of the people who are actually zombies in this got it because I think they were fans of space and they'd entered like a competition or something.
Oh, that's cool.
Zombies in the film. So which must be very cool if you to be able to be part of that world.
Yeah, definitely.
So apparently the amount of people turned up, they didn't have enough people, so they put out an open cast, and a lot of people turned up. They got the part, but apparently a whole pile of kids turned up as well. So they ended up with 30 zombie children in the movie.
Yeah, one of them plays football as well. So yeah,
it is a brilliant scene. Do you know what it reminds me a wee bit of? There's a film, Kingsman, where
the fight in the Kingsman, yeah.
Yes, and it's to this. It's a Sweet Home Alabama. No, it's not. It's a Leonard Skinner song, and he takes out the Baptists go mad in this church. He's in the church, and the Baptists, because they're all brainwashed, they go mad and they start a killing spree.
Freebird.
Yes, free. Absolutely.
That was it. Yeah.
Yes, that's what that scene reminds me of. I do. Obviously, Kingsman was a lot. It was 2000 whatever, so it was way after this, but I do wonder, was it influenced by it? Because everything about that scene is perfect.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. So I'd definitely agree with you. I'm just thinking, because when it cuts to the scene of when you see how bad the bite is on Penelope Wilton's wrist, the mum.
Oh, it's nasty.
With the old tissue. All it makes me think of is my grandma, because she had a terrible habit of doing that, sticking tissues up her plumbing tops. Not being bitten by zombies, people, don't be afraid. Although if she's going to come back, it's going to get very worrying and messy because, it's going to be very dusty. Very gritty.
She wasn't in the habit of getting hit by pool cues either, obviously. So there's two things.
I don't know what she did in her spare time.
It's not what she died of, sure it isn't. Getting hit by a pool cue.
Well, here's hoping not anyway. So yeah, then sort of the kind of shit hits the fan, really, doesn't it? That like all of the zombies kind of break through the glass and they burst in from all sides. And David's trying to be a hero because obviously his mum's been bitten and they realise that she's going to turn into a zombie, but he's what's the name for it if you don't like guns? Pacifist, is it?
Probably, yeah. Not necessarily guns with you. Somebody who won't indulge in violence. You're a pacifist.
Yeah. So he's got that sort of nature, but then he's the one who actually sort of pulls the gun, gets the shotgun and points it at Shaun's
the Winchester gun, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah. But that doesn't go down very well at all, really, because obviously, it's Shaun's mum and she's only literally just died.
Oh no, I feel so sorry. Stop pointing that gun at my mum.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, I can see his point. I mean, you've got to, it's going to happen. I'll be there, Shaun, just go out the room. Just go somewhere else for a minute.
But Shaun ends up doing it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I felt really sorry for him as well. But Shaun ends up doing it himself, I think, doesn't he?
And it's quite shocking, that scene.
Yeah.
Because it's been a funny movie. Yeah. Even though there's death, there's gratuitous violence, it's still kind of funny. But we've got the stage where lovely Barbara, who's nice and just a really, really good mum, he has to kill his mum.
Yeah.
And after coming to terms with Philip wasn't the bastard that he realised, he's lost his dad, and he was upset about that. He's now had to kill his mum. Well, she was dead, but he had to sort of, kill her again, I suppose.
Yeah.
You are right, because it is a big shift, because they all turn on Dylan Moran's character, don't they? They all start kind of like pointing, bottles and other things at him to try and stop him doing it. And it is here where you see quite a tonal shift in the film. It goes from being, it's zombies, but it's a bit more light-hearted, to actually seeing a bit like a real emotional thing. And as you said, Shaun has to make that horrible decision of, shooting her, but let's be honest, she's dead already. So, but it's the whole thing of he does what he has to do, even though he doesn't like it. So it's like the old Yellow moment, I guess.
Yeah. That's a good point. You would hate to have to be in that position. Well, I suppose you'd hate to have to be in that position.
To be in the position of the whole film, if I'm brutally honest.
I just realised.
It won't be high on my list of, like, what do you want to do on your holiday? I don't know. Let's go somewhere that's zombified and full of potential death and dismemberment.
Oh. Wouldn't you?
Oh, no.
Oh, I think that would be a lovely trip.
Hey, whatever floats your boat.
Make sure you make some sandwiches. That's right, because the mum at one point, she was going to make some sandwiches during the zombie uprising. Barbara's offered to make sandwiches before they go on the run.
It makes perfect sense casting Penelope Wilton, though. She's like always known for being very nice sort of character.
Yeah, you did really, really sort of warmed her, and it is upsetting whenever she dies, because it's kind of unexpected. You don't really think that the mum's going to die. But in saying that, after that, once it's just the two of them, and Ed. Well, even Ed's been bitten by that time. You think, it's not going to go well here for them. And
you mean Ed's been bitten? Oh my God!
I know he has. Get rid of him. But
we haven't even got to that bit yet.
Oh, I know. Sorry. Apparently he's been bitten. But we'll not talk about that. But it's the feeling of claustrophobia as the world gets smaller and smaller and smaller that I think's really done so well. You've comedy, and all of a sudden it's, this shit's for real. And you can't help but think, well, what would I do in that situation?
You get into sort of like, as it moves on, this scene, it gets very heated between them, but you're starting to there's one scene that's a real homage to Romero's Dead films, where the guy's getting dismembered. Which can't have been fun for you to watch, John, but where he's getting dismembered. And then it is, you get into the, I mean, again, you see this sort of thing in the way this is slightly set up in the pub being the central point of a battle. You see it again echoed in Hot Fuzz. But to me, this is the part where, again, I use that quote of, the shit gets real. Yeah. Because you see the proper levels of, it steps up on the violence. It gets more as you would expect in a zombie film, less comedic. And hats off to them for doing this. And I just think it's really well done. But you get naked Peter wandering in.
Yes.
Taking a chunk out of Nick Frost's arm.
No, and Shaun shoots him and shouts, "I told you to leave him alone."
Yes.
And this is the part where it gets really bloody as well.
It does.
It does. And they stupidly leave the bullets on the bar, don't they? Because they set light to the bar with, with alcohol to kind of make a fort for them, sort of thing, so that the zombies can't get through. But then they leave the shells, let's say, on the top of the bar, so that when it comes to actually trying to use them in the gun, they can't, because obviously they're on the bar, it's kind of on fire. But that actually worked out quite well in a way, didn't it? Because there was one zombie that tries to walk through the door, who I believe is in Hot Fuzz, and I think she's actually the female owner of the pub in that film as well. I think I've got that correctly. But she sort of walks in, and and then all of a sudden one of the sort of bullets goes off and hits her in the head. So luckily, they were able to sort of make it down to the cellar to escape, really, haven't they?
Well, she's a lady you see early at the start of the film, don't you? Just sat in the pub.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So she, again, what I do like this is you are at least seeing recurring characters. It's not like you're suddenly just getting zombies upon top of zombies on top of zombies. You're seeing, again, would probably, not probably, I suspect, if there was ever a zombie apocalypse and you're in an area and you're one of the fortunate ones who haven't been bitten, you're going to see people wandering around. It will happen. It's inevitable, and it's how you would deal with that. Yeah. But as we've said, I would be employing die-hard commandos to protect me. So, I'm quids in. You two, bye-bye.
I was going to say, I don't think I even answered that question, did I? I think we just got.
No, you did. That's true.
I'll answer at the end.
It's all right, Gemma. My crack team of commandos would, if need be, make it quick.
Well, in that case, then I'm going to jump in. I think that I would survive for quite a while. I would be got in the end. The problem is that I've got the ability to hit them on the head and stuff like that, but I'm not very fast. That's the only thing that's a downfall.
But you might if you're not going to move fast, and you do that, you act like a zombie, they might think you're a zombie and not hurt. So you might actually survive the longest.
I might. We should do zombie impressions at the end.
Yes. Thinking that too. Definitely.
So basically, like the last scene, near enough the last scene anyway, of the zombie bit is that Ed, Liz, and Shaun are the only 3 survivors, basically. And they're down in the cellar at this point. They realise that they've only got 2 bullets left in their gun. And they're trying to work out how that they can get up to, because they think that if they're in the cellar, they can kind of get out through the sort of doors that open up on the ground. What is that called?
Do you mean the thing for like when it goes from the casks, the ale casks come?
Yeah.
They can put them in, yeah.
Yeah.
The barrels can go in.
Yeah. So that. But then, it's kind of like they sort of give up a little bit. Shaun had given up smoking. He survived the whole day without having a cigarette, which I'm very impressed of. But Liz actually had his packet of cigarettes. So they managed to have a cigarette.
It's a classic example there. Smoking doesn't actually kill you. Zombies do.
Exactly. So that's why it's all right, people. And but as they go to light the cigarette, obviously they give one to Ed as well, who's, he's very injured. He's been bitten, like we said. They find the controls to actually open up, this door. I think, is it a trap door or whatever?
It would be a trap. It would be a trap door, yeah. It's the thing that I was like, when I was a kid, used to love when it was closed and you walk past a pub, you'd always walk over it and it'd rattle.
Yeah. I'd never walk over them. I was too scared. So I always thought I was going to fall through.
One note I made when watching this scene is, obviously they're talking at one stage about, like, killing themselves. And looking at the way Shaun is, I'm wondering if he's like bandana and things. He's a bit of a nod to the deer hunter or something.
Could be. Or Rambo.
Yeah, Rambo the deer hunter. I think probably more the deer hunter, but who knows? Yeah. Peggy, if you're listening, we want answers.
And an autograph.
Yeah.
And just to be my friend.
Yeah. So, Gemma wants friendship. I want answers, but I also decided that, Joanne was right. I've got Star Trek stuff that I want signing so I can flog it. So, come on, Peggy.
I'd like him to kick Carl Urban.
Ooh, in the nads.
Oh, yeah. Right there.
So, bringing us back to the film. We're so close to the end, guys. Come on, we can do it.
Oh, yeah. I'm so close. A
couple more minutes.
Just say that again, John.
Oh, yeah, so close.
Ed sort of volunteers to stay behind because he's already injured. They give him the gun so that at least he can kind of, kill 2 zombies at least, or himself if he prefers. And they go up to the ground level and out on the pavement.
Which is a really cool scene.
It is.
They're coming out.
Yeah. And they're there they've got, like all the zombies around by them, and they've got weapons that they can kind of, bash them over the head with and whatnot. Then all of a sudden the army turn up, don't they? In true, army fashion. They turn up.
Last minute. The heroes at the last minute. I love the way they're just actually driving over the zombies and then they come out and just blasting them with absolute...
But then who brought them there? It was Jessica Hines' character. Woohoo!
And not the daughter of Jasper Carrot.
And not the daughter of Jasper Carrot.
We've categorically worked out she's not Jasper Carrot's daughter.
Well, next time when I guess, James, you have to listen to what I'm saying.
I'll try.
So the army come, they save the day, blah 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 blah. Gets all boring at that point, and good old army, well done, thank you for your service and all that jazz.
And thank you for looking so good in uniform.
Yeah, especially coming from Joanne. Thank you, army.
Yes, I do like the army now. I have a soft spot for army boys.
And then the sort of final scene is that him and Liz are just sat on the sofa. It must be Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning, because they, sort of said that they're going to have a roast, which typically on a Sunday is when people have a roast. Not always, but for the most part, it is the Sunday, isn't it? And they're just sort of flicking through, and it's kind of like life is just a bit boring again until Shaun goes to the shed.
But it is also the way that, like, you've seen how everything would react to, or would deal with sort of zombie stuff. So they have, like, zombie days, Z Day remembered and the aftermath.
Yeah.
The fallout from people and all the people milking it, and then they're discussing it on, like, is it Vernon Kay's discussing it on T4? Bloody hell, that's a blast from the past. And is it Trisha and things wrong where they've got, like, zombie people?
Yeah.
On? Yeah. And, like, some people, and the guy out of Coldplay's on T4, I think.
Oh, thank God they went, oh, yeah. That's the worst part for me. Fucking Chris Martin.
But it was really well done because it's totally believable how life goes back. I mean, obviously, you're taken from it as well that the outbreak was just a one-off. It didn't go around the world. It just seemed to be London-centric or England-centric. You're not quite sure just how far out it went.
I mean, it is slightly weird that they say, like, they're employing the zombies as working at supermarkets and as trolley people, and then have moved them on to have, like, game shows where they're like trying to get to meat and things to eat it.
Yeah, and you see the young lad from the sort of first scene as a zombie doing pushing the trolleys, don't you?
Yeah.
So he's quite a big burly lad sort of thing, and he's only 17, but everyone thinks he looks about 23 or whatever. So he's become a zombie. Yeah, and then the sort of final scene really is that Shaun heads on down to the shed, and who's in the shed? Ed!
It's Ed Shed.
It's Ed Shed. And Ed tries to take a nibble from his friend, but in the end they decide to play computer games, whatever that is, because I don't play them.
It's some sort of weird PlayStation game, isn't it?
Yeah.
That they somehow play.
Yeah, it could be Xbox, it could be, But yeah, either way, it's player 1 has joined the game. Player 2 has joined the game.
And did you notice that the girlfriend now, she's living with Shaun, but she doesn't mind about the shed. She's like, yeah, whatever, sure, away you go. Okay, then, away you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, if you survive that, I think you're not really going to be as bothered about the small things anymore, are you?
No. Well, apart from maybe Ed breaking his chains and coming to eat you in the middle of the night.
That would be a slight concern, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that would probably be falling under the category of quite a big thing, though, not a small thing.
Yeah. But to be fair, in the worst case scenario, you're going to have to deal with Ed just, when he goes a bit, bonkers like that. Chop his head off. Job's done.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get exercised. I mean, are we talking a cruelty thing here? The hint almost is that the zombies are, they're being cruelly treated, and you always feel maybe a wee bit sorry for them because they've become. I could just imagine, whole Facebook groups set up now to these zombies, free the zombies, and sort of like animal rights campaigners, the equivalent, going in and breaking the zombies out.
Zombies have rights too. Probably be headed up by Chris Martin and the rest of the band.
Hashtag me zombie.
He's so happy at the moment that if I've got this right, that they've gone like carbon neutral for his world tour.
Ugh, he can just fuck off.
Do you know the easiest way for him to go carbon neutral is not to go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's easy, Chris. Just don't go anywhere. Don't fucking do anything. Stay where you are.
I don't know about you guys, but do you want to try and rate this film out of, 5 or 10, Joanne?
Yeah.
Let's do it out of 5, but we'll do it out of 5 zombie groans. So like you have to groan. For 5.
That sounds like a car alarm going off.
I didn't do it perfectly, but I did it quite good earlier.
Or possibly the worst wank ever.
Is that the most disappointing wank possible?
That's like
Okay.
All right, James, you wank first then. Tell us what you think.
What would I give it out of? We're giving it out of 5, so not 10. Just one precision.
5, yeah.
What would I give it? So if you haven't guessed, that's 4.
Okay, I was guessing 3.
Okay. That was 3.5.
3.5, yeah.
I assume at some point, Joanne, you popped a cork for champagne there.
I did. It was like, oh, I've gone.
Pop. And then.
Like, and a cigarette lights up.
Yeah.
Baby.
I can't do it.
I'm just waiting for the dog to start barking.
I'm just practicing a minute. That's shit, isn't it?
That's like a big burp.
or a creaky door.
Okay. I want to eat your brains. To eat your brains. Why did I come up with this idea? Okay.
I don't know. Run with it. I'm enjoying this so far. I'm assuming, is this the mad scientist who's created them?
Yes. What was mine?
4.5?
Yeah.
And also, I think you might need some WD-40. I'm just not sure at this moment.
If anyone's tuned in at this point, suddenly like gone out the
They're
room
a bit
and come back
weird,
in.
aren't they? Why would you listen to a podcast at the end?
No, but you know what I mean. They've gone out the room, they've come back to it, they've left it running. You haven't tuned into like some sort of weird porno. We are still discussing Shaun of the Dead.
These are actually the noise that James would make in prison when he's being fucked hard in the shore.
I don't know about you guys either, but did you kind of do like hand gestures and move your body at the same time as doing the noises?
No.
Just me.
What sort of hand gestures are we talking about here, Gemma?
No, I was just putting my arms up in the air and swaying from side to side sort of thing. You know,
well, I mean, everybody has their own orgasm technique, I suppose. I maybe need to try that one myself sometime.
Yeah, whatever works for you, you know.
Whatever turns you on.
Listen, you two. I've never had any complaints, all right?
I've said nothing. Said nothing.
Dear.
Well, I don't know. James, do you want to take us out? Because this is your part of the show and I want this to end now.
Well, when I think taking out after we've discussed Shaun of the Dead, I'm just going to have to grab a rifle, clearly, and just, kill you both. Yeah, I'd say we have had a very interesting Celluloid Codswallop, but certainly this has been more interesting because it has been a Halloween-based episode discussing the crazy spookiness with some slight comedy that is Shaun of the Dead. So I would say we've been talking of Celluloid Codswallop. So I, as ever, have been James.
I've been Dylan Thomas.
Thank you for your poetry, Dylan.
Thank you.
And as always, I've been the dumbass.
You've been Jasper Carrot's daughter for the night.
Yeah. I bring the Gemmerisms.